There is a doorway within you, so subtle it can be missed in the noise of striving, in the endless seeking of answers outside yourself. And yet it holds the key to your entire world. This doorway is not found through thought alone, nor through action, nor through ambition. It opens when you feel, not just surface emotion, but deep, resonant feeling, the kind that touches your inner being and makes you believe before you ever see. Neville said feeling is the secret. And when he said it, he wasn't speaking in metaphor. He meant it quite literally. The world around you, all the people, circumstances, outcomes, they are not responding to your words, your wishes, or even your prayers. They are shaped by your state of being, and your state of being is shaped by your feeling. What you feel consistently, what you dwell in inwardly, what you live in your imagination as already true, that is what hardens into fact. According to your faith be it unto you, says Matthew 9:29. But what is faith if not a felt conviction? Not begging, not hoping, not doubting between two thoughts, but the soft knowing, the inner yes that carries no resistance. It begins quietly. You hear a whisper of desire, a dream that taps gently on your awareness. It doesn't scream, it nudges. And in that moment you have a choice to react to your senses, or to move inward and feel from the end, to feel as though it were already true, not wishfully, but with calm certainty. You do not need to force it. You only need to assume the tone of the fulfilled desire. How would you feel if what you longed for was already yours? Not in theory, but in sensation. Would you feel peace, relief, joy, a quiet confidence that needs no explanation? That feeling, the essence of that state, is the password to creation. You don't even need to visualize clearly. If the image is fuzzy, let it be fuzzy. What matters is how it makes you feel, because the subconscious mind, the womb of creation, responds only to feeling. It cannot tell the difference between a real experience and one fully imagined with emotion. So when you impress upon it the mood of already being loved, already being free, already being successful, it takes that as instruction. It begins to rearrange the outer world to mirror your inner conviction. You don't chase, you don't force, you become. And in that becoming, everything changes. You walk differently. You speak with less strain. You smile for no reason. You are no longer trying to get, you are simply receiving what you already are. And yes, doubts will rise. Old memories may surface. The outer world may still echo the past. But your work is not to fight them. Your work is to return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Return, gently, daily, lovingly, not with frustration but with grace, like a mother returning to a child, like the tide returning to the shore. For what you return to is what you become. It is the inner climate that determines the harvest. And so if you would change your world, you must first change the weather within. Let the sun rise inside you. Let the warmth of fulfillment melt away every frozen fear. And in that softness, in that still fertile soil, plant the seed of feeling. It will grow. It must grow. For feeling is the law, not by effort, not by force, but by divine agreement. When the inner state is in harmony with the thing desired, it will appear inevitable, natural, ordained. So close your eyes, drop the story, and ask yourself now, how would I feel if it were done? That is the secret, and it was never hidden. It was simply quiet, waiting for you to listen. Do not underestimate the power of a mood. A fleeting thought may pass unnoticed, but a feeling, a sustained mood, etches itself into the fabric of your being. The world is not moved by what you want, but by what you are being inwardly. And what you are being is always expressed in how you feel. So the question is not merely what do I desire, but more truthfully, what feeling am I carrying through my day? You may speak words of faith, but if the feeling beneath them is fear, doubt, lack, the subconscious hears only that. Because the subconscious is deaf to words unless they are felt. And so the secret is not in doing more, not in effort, not in grinding, but in learning how to feel rightly. To feel in a way that matches the life you claim to desire. This is the hidden gate, the narrow path. Enter ye in at the strait gate, said Jesus in Matthew 7:13. The gate is strait because few will choose to feel abundance when appearances scream lack. Few will feel loved when the phone is silent. Few will feel chosen when the world seems to overlook them. But this is the holy discipline. To dare to feel from the end when the senses beg you to react. To close your eyes, not in denial of the world, but in quiet defiance of it. Because the truth is deeper. It is not out there. It is within. Everything you behold, the bank balance, the relationships, the health, is an echo, a shadow cast by an inner atmosphere. And when you change the atmosphere, the echo changes too. This is why Neville called it living in the end, not visualizing as a spectator, but dwelling as a participant. To enter the scene, not watching yourself on a movie screen, but walking into the room, touching the furniture, hearing the voices, feeling the warmth of dreams made real, and most of all to relax into the tone of that fulfillment. Because true assumption isn't tense, it's not frantic, it doesn't chase, it simply rests. It knows, this is mine, not through arrogance, but through alignment. A quiet conviction, as natural as breath. This is the feeling that impresses the subconscious. It is not loud, it is not desperate, it is saturated with trust, with ease, with love. So let the imagination take you there. Let it carry you, not for performance, but for pleasure. Sink into the mood of already being, already having, already fulfilled. Let that feeling wrap around you like a soft blanket. Let it enter your breath, your spine, your thoughts. Walk with it, eat with it, sleep with it. Because the feeling you carry into sleep is the seed you plant in the garden of night. It will grow. And when you rise, you may forget what you imagine. But the subconscious does not forget. It remembers, and it obeys. This is the unseen law behind all things. As within, so without. So why chase the wind, when you can calm the storm within? Why beg the world to change, when you can sit in stillness and assume it already has? Why fight for scraps, when you are heir to the kingdom? When you feel from the end, you declare the kingdom is now, not someday, not when circumstances catch up, but now. You say with your being, it is finished. And just like the fig tree that withered, just like Lazarus raised, just like water turned to wine, the outer responds, not to effort, but to alignment. And alignment is felt, not analyzed, not reasoned, but embodied. Let it move you now, not through strain, but through surrender. Let yourself feel as if all were already well, because it is. Beneath appearances, beneath time, beneath all doubt, it is done. And in that knowing, you can rest, truly rest. There is a silence deeper than words, a stillness that speaks louder than noise. It is in this quiet sanctuary that the secret begins to take root. When the mind no longer argues, when the body is at ease, when the world is shut out and forgotten, the feeling has room to rise. This is not the striving of the outer man, but the surrender of the inner man. Not force but faith, not command but communion. For the kingdom of God is within you, said Jesus in Luke 17:21. And the key to that kingdom is not found in logic or ritual. It is found in feeling, because feeling is the language of the soul. Not what you tell yourself, but what you truly accept as true. The man who says I am wealthy but feels fear every time he spends $1 is not speaking to his subconscious. He is contradicting it. But the man who buys bread with gratitude, who wears his clothes with dignity, who walks with the posture of abundance, even if his pockets are nearly empty, that man is aligned, and the world will conform to him. Because the subconscious does not respond to lip service. It responds to tone, to atmosphere, to saturation. You do not need to feel something all day long. You only need to fully feel it once, deeply, completely, and let it imprint itself upon the canvas of your being. It is not repetition that creates, but conviction, and conviction is born of experience. So allow yourself the experience, not just the image, but the tone of fulfillment, the sound of your voice after the dream has come true, the warmth in your chest when you sit beside the one you love, the weight of the keys in your hand to the home you've always imagined. Feel it, breathe with it, live in it, even for just a moment. That moment is sacred. It is enough, because one true moment of feeling plants a seed the world cannot resist, and like all seeds it grows in silence. You do not need to dig it up, check on it, question it. You do not need to wonder if it's working. You simply continue to feel in harmony with your wish fulfilled. You nourish it with trust. You protect it from doubt. You walk lightly as though you carry something precious within, because you do. This is the truth Neville whispered through every lecture, every word. That feeling is the secret, because feeling is the doorway to the reality you wish to enter. You do not knock with your hands, you knock with your state of being. And when that state becomes familiar, when it no longer feels like pretending, but like home, then you have entered, and what you see must follow. It cannot help it, for all things follow feeling, as the shadow follows the form. You are not a beggar in this world. You are not a servant. You are the image of the divine. And God said, let us make man in our image. Genesis 1:26. That image is not of flesh but of consciousness. And the likeness is not in appearance, but in power. The power to assume, to feel, to believe into being, to say with your soul, this is who I am, and let the world agree. So let it be gentle, let it be holy. This act of assumption is not theater. It is creation, not fantasy, but foundation. To feel rightly is to build rightly. To persist in that feeling is to finish the house before the bricks are ever laid. So return to it often. Return not as a prisoner begging release, but as the architect returning to the vision. Feel for the joy of it, for the peace of it, for the truth of it. Because when the feeling is real to you, the result must become real as well, and nothing can stop it. There is a mystery in stillness, not the silence of idleness, but the hush that falls when the soul leans inward. You see, every man is imagining, but few know they are doing it, and fewer still realize they are feeling their world into form. You cannot outthink what you feel. You cannot outspeak what you silently accept. And so the only work worth doing is the inner rearrangement, the shift from desiring to dwelling. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. This is not just a call to pause. It is an invitation to know, to feel the truth that your consciousness is the creative force of the universe. Not someday, not later, but now. When you sit quietly and feel, you are speaking to the divine within you. When you imagine a scene and become it, you are stepping into the garment of your future self. You are not waiting for it to happen. You are becoming the one for whom it has already happened. And that is the secret. The world will not reflect your words alone. It will reflect your mood, your posture, your internal resonance. If you feel forgotten, you will be. If you feel chosen, life will begin to honor you. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. To walk in the spirit of your wish fulfilled is to bow to the sacred law of creation. You must feel yourself into the state, not just once, but until it becomes natural. Let it rise up within you like warm light behind closed eyes. Let it settle into your bones until it feels like something you've always known. Because in truth, what you seek has always been yours. You are not becoming worthy of it. You are remembering it. The dream you ache for is a memory of your soul's future. You are not chasing it. You are catching up to it. And the vehicle is feeling. Let go of the struggle. Let go of the how. Let go of trying to control every step. What matters now is the quality of your inner atmosphere. Do you feel light or heavy, open or closed, loved or separate? Adjust your feeling, and you adjust your world. It's not about faking, it's about saturating. You do not pretend to be wealthy. You feel the peace of knowing all is taken care of. You do not pretend to be loved. You relax into the warmth of being seen. There is no effort in that, only rest. The more natural the feeling becomes, the closer you are to its outpicturing. And you will know it is working. Not because of signs, but because you've changed. You feel different. You think differently. You move as though something invisible is guiding you. And it is. This is what Neville called living in the end. It is not some distant finish line. It is a vibration, a fragrance you wear now. You are not walking toward the promise. You are walking from it. And as you persist, as you return again and again to the mood of fulfillment, life must reshape itself to match. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. There is no resistance in this path. No pleading, no pressure, only allowing. Feeling is the gentle engine of all that unfolds. You may not know when it will happen. You may not know how, but the when and how do not concern the seed. The seed knows only that it is already the tree. And so must you. Feel with sacred purpose, not with desperation, but with reverence. Because every assumption lovingly felt is a prayer answered before it's spoken aloud. You are not hoping. You are accepting. You are not asking. You are knowing. And what you know with feeling, the world must eventually show. The secret is never buried in action. It's not in effort, not in striving. It waits quietly in the invisible field of feeling. It whispers through your stillness, and only when the noise of doubt softens can you hear its voice. What you feel as true becomes true. This is not metaphor. It is law. It is the root from which all manifestation rises. You do not change the outer world directly. You impress it inwardly with feeling. And feeling is the bridge. It is the unseen connection between the world of spirit and the world of form. So ask yourself now, what am I feeling most often? What assumption quietly governs my day? You may say you want abundance, but if you feel the strain of lack, you plant the seed of struggle. You may affirm love with your words, but if your mood is one of loneliness, your feeling speaks louder. The universe listens to mood more than mantra. According to your faith be it unto you. Matthew 9:29. And faith is not belief alone. Faith is the felt certainty, the inner surrender to the thing already done. When you close your eyes and dwell in the wish fulfilled, you are building the scaffolding of your reality. It is not make-believe. It is the blueprint. The outer will catch up. Do not look for proof too soon. Do not dig up the seed just to see if it has sprouted. Feel it, feed it, rest in it. And when doubt creeps in, as it often does, do not fight it. Do not wrestle with the shadow. Instead, return gently to the feeling you've chosen, the mood of the outcome. This is how the inner world becomes the master. It's easy to get lost in appearances, to be seduced by to start wondering, is it working? Did I do it right? But the true gardener knows, growth is not seen immediately. It is sensed, and so is your desire. It begins as a flicker, a gentle shift in emotion, a new ease in your chest, a knowing, not loud, not urgent, but present. And when that feeling begins to feel familiar, when you find yourself acting from it instead of chasing after it, you will know you are near. You will speak with more peace, move with more intention, and think with more clarity. You will no longer try to make it happen. You will move as if it already has. Because in consciousness it has, and what exists in consciousness must, in time, crystallize in the world, not because you begged, not because you toiled, but because you finally felt it real, and in the eyes of imagination, feeling is the proof. So tonight as you rest, do not rehearse your worries, do not cradle the weight of what if, instead enter the secret chamber of your heart, close the door to the world, and feel gently, deeply, sincerely, that all is well, that you already are what you once only longed to be. No strain, no noise, just the soft hum of fulfillment. And as you drift into sleep, carry this feeling with you, as a lover holds a whisper close to their chest, because feeling, not force, is the true creative act, and all things respond to the quiet authority of a soul who knows it already is. And so, as the outer world turns and shifts, the one who feels from within remains unmoved, not indifferent, but anchored. They have touched the unseen current beneath all things, the place where assumptions are not questions, but living truths. For what you feel deeply, persistently, and confidently, that is your decree, no louder than a breath, yet it carries the weight of worlds. The moment you assume it is already done, you enter into rest. Not the rest of apathy, but the rest of knowing. It is the Sabbath of the soul, and God did rest the seventh day from all his works. Hebrews 4, creation is finished. All possibilities exist. You are not here to make things happen, but to choose, to assume, to feel. The infinite is your canvas, and feeling is your brush. But most forget. They wake each morning and dress themselves in the garments of yesterday. The same fears, the same moods, the same tired inner dialogue, and then wonder why the scene never changes. You must wear the feeling of your desire fulfilled as you would a cloak, gently with grace, until it becomes second skin. It is not enough to imagine briefly. You must abide in the state, not as a visitor, but as one who belongs. Every time you feel the thrill of having it, you are rehearsing the reality. You are bringing the unseen into alignment with your breath. And though the outer world may not yet reflect it, you walk by faith, not by sight. You act as though it is so, because in the world that matters, the world within, it already is. Do not worry if emotion is soft at first. Even a whisper, when felt fully, can echo through creation. You are not required to be loud, only sincere. For the secret is in the feeling, not the force. If you must ask, how will it happen? You are still not resting. Leave the how to the higher wisdom within. That sacred intelligence knows paths your reason cannot imagine. Your task is simple, to live in the state of the wish fulfilled, to think from it, speak from it, feel from it, and then allow life to rearrange itself around your inner certainty. Like a mirror adjusting to your smile, it reflects the signal you give, not the words you speak. This is why self-talk matters less than self-feeling. You may speak of wealth, but if you feel lack, you remain in bondage. You may affirm health, but if your mood is fear, you give that fear permission to reign. So begin with stillness. Close your eyes, turn inward, and ask gently, if I truly had it now, how would I feel? Let that feeling rise, even if just a flicker. Honor it, breathe into it, rest in it, make it familiar, make it home, because that feeling once sustained is the seed of every miracle. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to return to the feeling when you drift, again and again, until the state becomes more real than your doubts, until it becomes your new normal, your natural dwelling place, and the world, ever faithful to your inner world, will echo it back to you with clarity and grace. Because reality is not chasing you, it is obeying you, not your fears, not your hopes, but your felt assumptions. And when you master the art of feeling, not as reaction, but as creation, you discover the secret that saints and sages knew, that the kingdom of heaven is not out there but within. It moves with you, waits for your recognition, responds to your touch, and asks only this: feel it real. To feel it real is not mere pretending. It is not performance or play acting, but quiet surrender. The sacred choice to become before becoming is visible. You do not beg for what is already yours. You simply claim it inwardly, as a child claims their name, not with effort, but with knowing. You assume the tone, the posture, the breath of the one who already has. You listen for the heartbeat of your desire, and then you let it be your own. For creation does not respond to thought alone, but to thought clothed in feeling. Emotion is the electricity that animates the image. It is what breathes life into the dry bones of imagination. As it is written, Son of man, can these bones live? And the Lord said, Prophesy over them. And breath entered them, and they came to life. Ezekiel 37:3-10. Your words may form the bones, but it is your feeling that sends breath. This is the mystery, and it is why you must not seek your future with anxiety, but enter it now with confidence. Feeling is the bridge. It connects the unseen with the seen, the possible with the actual, the imagined with the experienced. If you can feel it, you can live it. You don't have to wait for signs. The inner signal is enough. What the world calls evidence is simply delayed reflection. The evidence that matters most is the shift in your mood. When you begin to feel joy before reason appears, peace before resolution, and love without condition, then you are truly aligned with the power that creates. Do not rush it. Do not strain. The greatest transformations happen in stillness, in the quiet space between intention and surrender. When you let go of needing and sink into knowing, feel as though it has already happened. Let that sensation wash over your nervous system like warm sunlight. It is done. It is finished. Now dwell there. Speak as though from fulfillment, not about your dreams, but from them. And when old thoughts return, as they often will, do not fight them. Gently guide them back. Return to the state of the wish fulfilled as a prodigal son returns to his father's house. You will not be punished for wandering. You will be celebrated for returning. Each time you re-enter the state, you reinforce its reality. Like carving a groove through the landscape of the mind, soon it becomes the dominant path, and the world must follow. It must, because the outer is servant to the inner. It cannot rebel. It can only echo. So ask yourself, what am I echoing right now? And listen not to your words, but to your vibration. The feeling you carry when no one's watching, that is your signal. That is your prayer. Prayer is not petition. It is union. To pray is to feel as though already answered. To merge so completely with the desired state, that there is no longer a seeker and a sought, only being. And so we return to the still, quiet truth you've always known deep within. You don't chase reality. You assume it. You don't force change. You feel it into being. And when the world finally catches up, you won't be surprised, because you've already been living it in the secret chambers of your soul. And so, if you remain still long enough, if you rest in the feeling long enough, you begin to sense that all striving dissolves. You stop trying to get something and realize you are already it. The moment you stop looking for signs, they appear. The instant you drop the desperation to change your world begins to shift. Because the power was never in the outer doing. It was always in the inner being. This is why feeling is sacred. It is not fleeting or shallow. It is the current beneath the ocean of thought. It pulls the shore closer, without moving a single grain of sand. In Genesis, the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, Let there be light, and there was light. The Spirit moved first, before the words were spoken, before form took shape. That movement, subtle, unseen, was the stirring of feeling. This is the inner birth that precedes every outer miracle. We often ask, how can I feel something that hasn't happened? But that question misunderstands the law. It has happened, in the only place where creation begins, your consciousness. And consciousness is not linear. It does not follow the rules of time. To your mind, something is either real or not real. But to your soul, something is either felt or not. And what is felt must be made flesh. For the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. John 1:14. When you feel from the state of the wish fulfilled, you are not playing a role. You are inhabiting a deeper truth, one your senses have not yet caught up to. You are moving beyond appearances, beyond delay, beyond lack. You are declaring, without speaking, this is who I am, and the world must rearrange itself to mirror your new identity, not as punishment or reward, but as reflection, pure, precise, unchanging. So rest in the feeling, let it become your home. Imagine the texture of your new life, the way your body feels in this reality, the expressions on the faces of those who see your success, the scent of freedom, the rhythm of joy in your breath. Linger there, savor it. And most of all, believe that your feeling is enough. You don't need to repeat it 1,000 times. You don't need to force it or make it stronger. A single moment of pure, uncontradicted feeling is more powerful than a lifetime of effort, because you are not manifesting with muscle, but with identity. You're not convincing the world. You're remembering the truth. You are simply saying quietly, deeply, completely, I am that. And in time the world will agree, not because you forced it, but because you embodied it. And so we come to the greatest paradox of all. The less you try to get it, the faster it comes. Because the moment you feel it real, you're no longer reaching. You are resting. You're not in lack. You are in life. You've moved from asking to receiving, from hoping to knowing, from longing to living. This is the secret behind the secret, that what you want is not something to chase, but something to allow. And what unlocks it is not thought alone, but feeling. The inner signature of your belief, the emotional tone that whispers, this is mine. So tonight as you lie in bed and close your eyes, don't review the day behind you. Step gently into the day ahead, but not as the version of you who waits. Step into the day as the one who already has. Let that version tuck you in. Let them breathe for you. Let them smile from the center of your chest. Feel the wish fulfilled as though it's been yours for years, and drift off not into sleep, but into truth. And as the body softens into rest, the inner world becomes more alive. In this sacred silence where the noise of thought grows quiet, you meet the threshold of creation. It is here, in the hush between breaths, that the door to your future swings open, not with noise but with feeling. You do not build the future in the outer world. You birth it here, in the soft, impressionable soil of your awareness. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. But thought alone is not the engine. It is thought married to feeling that conceives reality. And feeling is not forced. It is surrendered to. It flows when you cease to resist, when you drop the armor of logic and allow yourself to believe without evidence. This is not wishful thinking. It is divine participation. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are declaring that it already has. Your assumption is the seed. Your feeling is the water. And your persistence is the sun that makes it grow. Each night as you close your eyes, ask not for change. Instead, be the change. Lay your head on the pillow as the one who already lives the life you desire, not a fantasy, but a remembered truth. Feel the weight of fulfillment settle into your chest. Feel gratitude as if the gift were already in your hands. Smile, not because you hope, but because you know. You've seen the end. You've felt it. It's done. This is the hidden key. The secret few are willing to trust, because the world teaches us to act first, to do more, to struggle and strive. But the mystic understands all doing is born from being, and being is sculpted by the unseen hand of feeling. When you shift how you feel, you shift the lens through which life reflects. You are no longer reacting. You are creating, and what you feel consistently, you begin to believe. What you believe, you begin to expect, and what you expect, life has no choice but to reveal. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. You are not separate from your desire. You are one with it. Desire is not a stranger knocking at your door. It is the whisper of your future self calling you home. So don't chase it. Don't analyze it. Don't delay it. Feel it. Own it. Live from it. And trust that like a tree leaning into light, your reality will bend itself toward the sun you've planted in your heart. You may wonder, how long must I feel it? How often must I return to the scene fulfilled? But feeling is not a transaction. It is not measured in repetition or time. It is a surrender, a yielding into the knowing that what you have assumed is already yours. It is not how many times you revisit the state, but how deeply you believe it when you do. A single moment of sincere assumption carries more weight than 1,000 hollow affirmations. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24. Not after you receive them, but when you pray, believe you already have them. This is not metaphor, this is law. And feeling is the language of belief, not the cold logic of words, but the silent language of experience. You know this feeling. You've lived it before, that quiet confidence when you just knew something would work out. And it did. That unexplainable peace before the miracle arrived, not because of what was around you, but because of what had awakened within you. That, beloved, was you dwelling in the end. That was you touching the divine. You didn't ask if it would happen. You felt it already had. And then the outer world folded itself to match your inner claim. That's the secret, to feel it real. To let the world be not your dictator but your mirror. You do not plead with mirrors to smile. You smile first and the mirror reflects it. So too with life. If you wait for change before you feel different, you wait forever. But when you feel the change before it appears, the world has no choice but to yield to your vision. This is the reversal the mystics have always taught. And to live this way, To walk by faith and not by sight is the path of the awakened. It is the quiet rebellion against the tyranny of facts. It is not denial of reality. It is mastery of it, because reality bends not to the strongest will, but to the softest assumption, not to the loudest voice, but to the stillest heart. So be still and know. Assume the mood of your wish fulfilled. Feel the breath of it in your lungs. Hear the echo of it in your imagination. Let it wrap around you like a warm cloak on a cold night. Let it sink into your bones until it is no longer a dream, but a memory. Not something you want, something you've already lived. And when the world contradicts you, when facts scream otherwise, return to your secret chamber. Close the door, turn inward, and there, in the solitude of your own soul, reclaim the feeling. For this is your power. You need not convince anyone. You need not announce it. The seed grows in silence, beneath the soil, long before the world sees the bloom. And when it rises, as it surely will, it will feel inevitable, as if it could not have been any other way. And so, you return to that sacred space within, not to beg, not to bargain, but simply to remember, to feel again what is already yours. The mind will try to intrude. It will question, calculate, compare. It will bring you the ledger of the past, as if past lack could define your future. But the heart whispers differently. It does not deal in logic. It speaks the language of certainty. For the kingdom of heaven is not found in outward rituals, but in the inward gaze where the feeling lives. When you feel it real, you are not waiting. You are no longer hoping. You are knowing. And knowing is the birth of manifestation. There is no waiting in God, only creation. As Paul wrote to the Romans, call those things which be not as though they were. Romans 4:17. To call them forth is not to wish, but to feel them present. Can you feel the embrace of your lover return? Can you taste the sweetness of your victory? Can you rest your head tonight as one who has already been chosen, already succeeded, already healed? This is not pretense. This is power. For reality does not arise from what is seen, but from what is felt as true. You are not here to chase outcomes. You are here to become them, to wear the feeling like a second skin, to carry yourself not in anticipation, but in fulfillment. Imagine a tree already bearing fruit. It does not strain. It does not doubt. Its roots reach downward while its branches extend in silent faith. So must your feeling take root in the unseen depths of the soul. And when the world seems barren, when no fruit yet shows, you trust the root. For that which is rooted in feeling cannot be delayed forever. All life obeys the law of becoming. You are not trying to make it happen. You are remembering it already has. This is the essence of feeling the wish fulfilled. It is the invisible ceremony between you and the infinite. A soft sigh into the silence, a divine agreement signed without pen. You step into the role before the curtain rises. You rehearse the scene, not to prepare but to become. And when you become, the world conforms. So when doubt arrives as it may, do not wrestle it. Return to the feeling. Close your eyes. See with the inner eye. Feel the moment as if you had awakened to the very life you long for. And then let go. Not out of indifference, but out of trust. You have planted the seed. Your feeling is the water. Your assumption is the sun. And your rest, that is the proof of your faith. For the one who truly believes does not chase. They abide. And in abiding, they are carried by something deeper than effort. They are moved by the rhythm of grace. You don't have to force the river. You only need to step into it. And the current, already knowing where it leads, will take you there. Not by striving, not by struggle, but by surrender to the feeling. By dwelling in the end so deeply, so completely, that the journey collapses into a single point of arrival. Because in truth you were never going anywhere. You were always returning to who you already are. There is a stillness that arrives when you finally stop searching. Not because you've given up, but because you found. And what you have found was never outside of you. It was always within, a quiet, glowing ember in the furnace of your being. It is the feeling, not the fleeting emotion, but the deep, holy knowing that what you imagine is already real. The world has taught you to try, to strive, to earn. But the Spirit whispers a different law. You are already complete, not by your works, but by your awareness. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness is not stagnation. It is activation through surrender. The seed does not grow by effort. It grows by resting in the soil of certainty. And so too do your desires unfold when you rest in the felt sense of their fulfillment. Close your eyes, and without moving a muscle, shift. Not your body, your identity. Feel the air around you as if it were different, as if it now touches the skin of someone who already has what they desire. Taste the morning as if it greets you in a life that has already changed. Walk the hallway in your mind as if it leads to a home that bears your name, a life that bears your mark. You do not need to get there. You only need to feel from there. This is the law of assumption, and its power lies not in repetition, but in depth. A single moment of true assumption, deeply felt, fully believed, is more potent than hours of passive wishing. You are not waiting for the world to shift. The world is waiting on you. It mirrors your state of being, not your effort, not your pleading, your being. So become the one who already knows, already holds, already dwells. There is no time in the realm of feeling, only intensity of conviction. In the timeless silence of the soul, you are no longer becoming, you are. And when you are, life cannot help but reflect. It bends toward your dominant state, like sunflowers turning toward the light. So feel, not once, not weakly, but wholly. Feel with the fullness of faith. Let it swell in your chest. Let it soften your breath. Let it settle in your bones, like something ancient and remembered. You are not creating the feeling to trick reality. You are remembering your divine nature. The world of form is clay. Your imagination is the hand. And feeling is the life breath you blow into it. It animates. It gives shape. It calls forth. And what you feel most consistently becomes what you see most clearly. You may not see it tomorrow, but delay is not denial. A rose still blooms in silence before it is seen. Trust the unseen realm, the feeling realm. There is more happening in your silence than in all your outward effort. So return, again and again, to that soft place behind your ribs where the wish is already fulfilled. Rest in it, and the world, as obedient as light to the sun, will bend itself to your assumption. There is a holy simplicity in feeling as though it's already done, not in the eyes of the world, but in the sanctuary of your own soul. You sit quietly, you breathe a little deeper, and you allow the cloak of fulfillment to wrap itself gently around you, not as a future hope, but as a present knowing. It's subtle, yes, but it is sacred. You do not need to announce it, you do not need to explain it, you only need to feel it. According to your faith, be it unto you. Matthew 9:29. Faith is not loud, it doesn't need to be. It is quiet, a whisper in the dark, a soft declaration in the still night of consciousness that says, it is done, and then you rest. You rest not because you are lazy, but because your soul has accepted it as complete. In that rest, there is no impatience, there is no worry, there is no more searching for proof. For the one who feels it real, life no longer needs to convince them. They have already seen with the eyes of the spirit. They have already touched with the hand of imagination. They have already become. This is the quiet miracle Neville tried to share, that you do not need to force the world. You only need to assume its reflection. It is not your job to make it happen. It is your work to remain anchored in the feeling that it already has. When doubt creeps in, not if, but when, you return to the feeling. You do not wrestle with doubt. You do not try to overpower it. You simply turn your gaze inward and remember the end. You revisit the scene that once set your soul on fire. You enter it, feel it, dwell in it, until the doubt dissolves like fog under the rising sun. You see, the world was never the creator. It was the echo. And you are the voice that starts it all. So speak without words. Speak through feeling. Speak through inner knowing. Let your assumptions become the seeds that blossom quietly beneath the surface. And when the winds of reality try to shake you loose, stand still. Do not beg the winds to stop. Just deepen your roots. Return to the place inside where the wish is already fulfilled. Feel the freedom of it, the warmth of it, the truth of it. Imagine yourself living the scene after the miracle has already come. Imagine how little you would need to say, how much peace would live in your body. Imagine waking up, not wondering when it will happen, but smiling because you already know it has. Even if the outer world hasn't caught up yet, your inner world is already there, and that inner world is the only birthplace that ever mattered. Your senses may argue, your circumstances may contradict, but none of them hold authority over your assumption. Only you do. So do not plead, do not chase, do not fight. Instead, assume, feel, live inwardly from the end of your desire, not toward it, but from it. This is the mystical posture of those who shape their world not by force but by faith. And their faith is not blind. It is felt, it is known, it is lived in silence. It is worn like skin. And when the world finally reflects it, as it always must, it will feel less like a surprise and more like a remembering. A quiet, inevitable unfolding of what you always knew would come. So rest again, breathe again, and let the feeling grow roots. Let it anchor itself in you until it becomes your only reality. Let it be enough. Let it be. There is no labor more powerful than inward rest. For in that rest you are not waiting, you are becoming. You are not preparing for a future moment. You are breathing as if it's already here, already yours, already complete. This is not daydreaming, it is alignment. It is possession in the spirit. You do not walk toward your desire. You walk as the one who already has it. Not with strain, but with serenity. Not with urgency, but with assurance. And this feeling, this sacred knowing, is what transforms the unseen into the seen. For the kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. Not outside, not in the approval of others, not in the passing of time, within. And it responds not to effort, but to emotion. Not to fear, but to faith. The world will try to sell you struggle. It will glorify the hustle, praise the grind, celebrate the race. But creation is not born from chaos. It is born from stillness, from the quiet conviction that what you feel is more real than what you see. And so the question is never, what do I want? But rather, what would I feel if I already had it? Not in a fleeting glimpse, not in a passing thought, but in a deep, rich embodiment that melts into your breath, into your movements, into the spaces between words. It becomes your default vibration, your invisible atmosphere. You carry it like perfume, and the world responds to the fragrance of your faith, even when you're silent, even when you're still, especially when you're still. You begin to see, your job is not to make it happen. Your job is to feel it so fully, so faithfully, that the world must bow to the image within you. You are not here to react. You are here to imagine, to impress upon the infinite, the mark of your fulfilled desire, to rehearse the end until it no longer feels like fiction, but memory, a memory of something your soul already claimed, a moment that already lives in the eternal now. For the subconscious mind, time is nothing. There is only the vibration of belief, only the echo of assumption. So train your inner ear to listen not for signs, but for certainty. And that certainty lives in your feeling. It does not need to be loud. It does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be sincere. You don't need to force joy. You only need to sink into the gentle peace that says, I have it now, even for a moment. That moment repeated in love is your seed. And the soil of imagination never rejects the seed. It only asks, do you believe this is yours? And if your feeling answers, yes, then so it is. You don't need to shout it. You don't need to share it. You simply need to feel it until it becomes you. And once it becomes you, the outer world will catch up, quietly, naturally, inevitably, because the world is not the cause, only the mirror. And mirrors do not change first. You do. In the sanctuary of your mind, you dwell in the finished scene. You feel it. You nourish it. You surrender to it. And the mirror responds, not out of pity, not out of randomness, but out of divine law. Feeling is the secret. It always has been. It always will be. And you are the one who holds the key. So hold it gently. Hold it with reverence. And above all, hold it consistently. Even in the silence. Even in the waiting. Even when the world forgets. You remember. You return. You feel. And so it is. There is a sacred rhythm to how things unfold. But the rhythm does not come from the world around you. It flows from within. From the harmony between your feeling and your faith. You are not waiting for the world to give you a sign. You are giving the world a blueprint through the tone of your inner atmosphere. The world listens, not to your words, not to your effort, but to the emotion you carry in the silence. And the more consistently you carry it, the more inevitable your manifestation becomes. This is why scripture says, let the weak say, I am strong. Joel 3:10. It does not say, let the weak wait until they are strong. It says, assume it, speak it, feel it, become it, even when appearances say otherwise, even when logic protests. Because the truth of who you are is not written in circumstance, it is written in consciousness. What you feel deeply, what you believe quietly, what you assume naturally, that is the author of your life. It does not shout, it whispers. It does not strive, it allows. And in this quiet allowing, the miraculous unfolds. The mind tries to measure it, but the heart simply knows. It knows that creation doesn't begin when the evidence shows up. It begins the moment you feel as if it already has. Because that feeling is the substance. That feeling is the reality. That feeling is the secret. And when you carry that state day after day, gently, peacefully, without force or doubt, you do not chase results. They come to you. Because you are no longer separate from what you desire. You are it. You become the vibration of the thing fulfilled. And that vibration calls it into form without effort. Do not underestimate the power of this gentle inner shift. 1,000 actions cannot replace one moment of pure aligned feeling. Because action without belief is noise. But belief wrapped in feeling is a prayer, and every prayer that is felt as true is answered, not in time, in timelessness. Because God doesn't operate on delay, God operates on alignment, and God, as Neville so beautifully revealed, is your own wonderful human imagination. That is where all things begin, and that is where all things are born again. So do not wait, do not beg, do not plead. Instead, imagine, feel, rest in the sweet security that what you feel is forming now. Let it become familiar, let it become normal, until you no longer hope, you know. And in that knowing, you relax, you stop searching, you stop questioning, because you've already received, and though your eyes have yet to see it, your soul already celebrates it. This is the peace that passes understanding. This is the secret hidden in plain sight. This is the power woven into your very being. You do not need to earn it. You only need to feel it into existence. And so now, in the stillness of this moment, let go of everything else. Let go of the how. Let go of the when. Let go of the waiting. And simply allow the feeling to bloom within you, like a quiet sunrise. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. And when you change, the world must follow. As within, so without. As above, so below. And the feeling is the bridge. The feeling is the key. The feeling is the secret. And you, beloved dreamer, hold that secret now. The world you see is but a mirror held up to your inner feeling. It reflects back the convictions you carry, not the words you speak, nor the effort you push forth. And so, if you wish to reshape the outer, you must return not to action, but to emotion. It is the unseen current beneath the surface that moves the great ships of destiny. We are not commanded to pretend. We are called to feel, even in the absence of evidence, what it would be like if it were already so. This is faith, not blind belief, but full embodiment. And Scripture whispers the same wisdom. What things soever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24. It does not say beg and you shall receive, nor does it say struggle, and it will be yours. It says believe you have received it. That is a state of mind, a shift of being, a gentle rearrangement of your inner climate from yearning to fulfillment. And once you dwell there quietly, consistently, the outer must respond, because the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the command that creation cannot ignore. When you walk through your day with a soft knowing, not loud, not boastful, but steady, as one who has already arrived, life rearranges itself around that signal. People move, opportunities appear, paths open, delays dissolve, and none of it was forced, because you moved first, in imagination, and the outer, being servant to the inner, followed without resistance. You did not chase, you aligned, and in alignment there is no need for force, only flow. So allow yourself now to sink deeper into the knowing that what you desire has already found its home in you. You are not a beggar of reality, you are its author, and feeling is your pen. Each time you return to the sensation of it being done, of it being yours, you write that truth more deeply into the fabric of the unseen, and soon the scene will catch up. But you will no longer be surprised, because you've already felt it, again and again and again. You have lived it in your inner sanctuary so many times that when it arrives you'll smile, not in disbelief, but in recognition. You'll say, of course, this is the echo of what I have been. And so the work is gentle, the practice simple. It is the daily cultivation of one quiet feeling. It is done, not because the outer says so, but because you say so. And in time the world will bow to the feeling you refuse to let go of. So breathe now, let your shoulders drop, let your heart soften, let your spirit rest, and feel, for just a moment, the warmth of your wish fulfilled. Not tomorrow, not soon, now dwell there, bask in it, let it wrap around you like a familiar melody, a song your soul has always known, because it is not coming, it is already here, and you, by the power of your divine imagination, have become one with it. That is the secret, that is the law, that is the beginning of all creation. The world of form is but the shadow of the world of feeling, and though we are taught to chase form, to struggle for it, to wait upon its permission, the truth lies deeper, beneath thought, beneath word, in the quiet hum of the feeling within. For feeling is not a reaction, it is the cause. It is not what you have after something occurs. It is what must be present before the world knows how to respond. You are not waiting for life to show you joy. You are called to feel joy, so life can reflect it. This is why Neville said feeling is the secret, because what you feel you fertilize, and what you persist in feeling you give birth to. There is no outer resistance, only inner contradiction. and when feeling aligns there is no delay. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Psalm 37:4. But what is the Lord if not the I am within? To delight in the Lord is to rejoice in your own identity as the one who already has. To find your pleasure not in the evidence, but in the assumption. To feel the sweetness of the thing fulfilled, not in the outer event, but in the inner experience. It is a dance of vibration, not a checklist of deeds. And the more you rest in the delight, the less you grasp, the less you chase, the faster it comes. The secret, always, is the feeling of the end, not the hope, not the longing, but the stillness of yes, the settled already. For creation is finished. You are not building the house of your desires. You are moving into it. With each breath you arrange your inner furniture. You sit on the couch of your wish. You run your hands along the walls of fulfillment. You smell the air of your already chosen life. That is how the unseen becomes seen. Not with sweat, but with surrender. Not with effort, but with embodiment. And embodiment begins in the feeling. Not the fleeting mood of the moment, but the gentle chosen atmosphere you keep returning to. The atmosphere of, it's already done. And so when doubt whispers in your ear, you smile softly, not to fight it, but because you know something it does not. You know the law. You know the source. You know that the outer must yield to the feeling sustained. Even if it lingers for a while, even if the outer echoes the old state, you stay faithful to the vibration you've chosen, and the unseen begins its work. People rearrange, emails arrive, doors open, but more than that, you change. You begin to glow with the inner certainty of one who is no longer reaching, no longer asking, no longer waiting. You are dwelling, you are resting, you are assuming, and that assumption is the prayer fulfilled. No pleading, no repetition. Just quiet agreement with what already is. That is the truth that reshapes timelines. That is the energy that collapses delay. It is not speed that brings the manifestation. It is alignment. And alignment is nothing more than the consistent return to a single sacred feeling. It's done. Let that feeling grow roots. Let it breathe through you. Let it settle in the belly, as a knowing that does not need proof, because it is the proof. And as you lie down tonight, as you close your eyes and slow your breath, let that feeling cradle you like warm light. This is your home now. This is your truth. This is your seed. And the world, though it may not know it yet, is already changing in your favor, because feeling is the secret. And so the silence becomes sacred, for it is in silence that feeling rises, unfiltered by noise, untouched by the senses, free to reveal what you truly hold as real, not what you say you believe, but what you feel as true. That is the seed from which your world grows. You do not need to force yourself into some unnatural ecstasy. You only need to settle into the mood of fulfillment, the gentle inner atmosphere that says, I am wealthy, I am loved, I am whole, I am free, not as a chant to convince, but as a tone to dwell in, as real to you as breath, as present as the heartbeat you never question. The imagination, when fused with feeling, is not fiction, it is creation. This is the divine formula hidden in plain sight, spoken not in commandments, but in stories and parables, waiting to be felt rather than just read. Jesus said, according to your faith be it unto you. Matthew 9:29. And faith, Neville taught, is nothing more than feeling, a deep inner knowing, clothed in emotion. To feel a thing deeply is to believe it, whether you're aware of it or not. This is why feelings are sacred. They are the whispers of your creative power. The feeling of doubt, it creates delay. The feeling of lack, it brings more to fill the void. But the feeling of joy, unexplained, unprovoked, joy for the sake of joy, is the sound of heaven moving. It is the soul remembering its truth. And in those quiet moments, when you let go of how and rest only in yes, you become magnetic, not by willpower but by softness, not by control but by surrender. You begin to notice the subtle ways life bends toward your new reality. People speak to you differently. Opportunities seem to bloom from nowhere. Even your own posture changes. You walk not as one who waits, but as one who has. This is not a performance. It is not a role you're trying to play. It is the realest version of you, the one who no longer seeks permission from the world, but gives it instead, because feeling precedes fact, and the law must reflect the seed. So rather than argue with the mirror, change the expression. Rather than chase the image, become the essence. And how do you become? By feeling, consistently, lovingly, deliberately. You pick up the garment of your wish and wear it in the invisible places. You speak not of wanting, but of having, not out loud, not for others, but for yourself, in the stillness of the heart, where the real work is done. You are not waiting for the world to show you signs. The sign is your inner peace. The signal is your gratitude for things not yet seen, because in truth, they are seen, just not yet with eyes. They live within you, and they are being nourished by every feeling you allow. Every night you fall asleep in the state of the wish fulfilled. You are watering the roots of your reality. You are shaping time itself. You are collapsing the gap between desire and experience. This is the mystery. And yet there is no mystery at all. Only practice, only trust. Feel as though you already are, and you will be. Feel as though it is already done, and it is. No ceremony, no struggle, just the sacred ease of resting in the truth that the world is not separate from you, it is within you. You do not force it, you do not beg it, you feel it, and the rest takes care of itself. There is a holy stillness that follows when you feel something realer than the facts around you. Not louder, just deeper. Not brighter, just closer. It wraps itself around you like quiet assurance, like the hush of a prayer already answered. And in that sacred hush, you no longer search for signs. You become the sign. You are no longer waiting for the door to open. You're already inside the room. For when you feel the wish fulfilled, your world begins to obey in whispers before it ever shouts. This is the secret not shouted from rooftops, but spoken within the temple of your being, the temple not made with hands. And whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Mark 11:24, notice the tense. Have received. Not someday, not eventually. Now. You receive with feeling. You become the answered prayer by the mood you carry. You tune yourself to the reality you wish to dwell in, and then you dwell there. Not for a moment, but for a lifetime, or an hour, or even just a night of sleep. That's all it takes sometimes. A single night spent feeling it is done can shift the trajectory of your world, and no one outside you has to know. It's your inner secret, your sacred act, your silent agreement with God, who is your own imagination. This is why emotion is holy, not the scattered bursts that come and go, but the felt sense that stays, the subtle hum beneath the noise, the quiet conviction that holds no tension, only presence. That's where you plant your seed. You don't dig it up to check if it's growing. You don't plead with the soil. You water it with feeling, the feeling of already, the inner climate of yes, the invisible confidence that whispers, it's already mine. And when the winds of doubt return as they do, you don't fight them. You simply return to the garden. You feel again. You go back into that state, the end scene of your inner play, and you rest there. You don't strain. You don't perform. You allow. And the more you allow yourself to feel, the more you surrender to the outcome being settled. Not someday, but now. The faster time begins to bend, because time too is an illusion of feeling. When you wait with anxiety, it stretches. When you wait with fulfillment, it collapses. The event doesn't come to you, it emerges from you. You are the source, not the seeker. You are the cause, not the effect. And so the real question isn't when will it happen, but rather, can I feel it now? Can I feel love before it arrives? Can I feel wealth before the money comes? Can I feel peace before the storm ends? Because when you do, you don't just attract that state, you generate it. You become it. And then the world has no choice but to match the tone you've set. Life responds to your vibration, not your words, to your embodiment, not your effort. This is the gentle power of feeling, and it is always within reach. Not in hours of discipline, but in a moment of surrender, a quiet breath, a softened body, a still heart resting in the mood of the fulfilled desire. And if it slips away, you return again, lovingly, playfully, without shame. For each return strengthens the root. Each rehearsal writes it deeper into your soul, until it becomes your nature, not something you do, but something you are. And then, what once felt far becomes familiar. What once felt difficult becomes effortless. What once felt like magic becomes your new normal. And that, beloved, is how feeling shapes reality. Not by force, but by frequency. Not through control, but through communion. You feel it, and it becomes. There's a language spoken before words, a language not of the lips, but of the heart. It doesn't argue. It doesn't explain. It simply knows. And this knowing has a fragrance. It lingers in your breath, colors your gaze, softens your pace. You feel it before you see it. You become it before the world reflects it. This is the true alchemy, to dwell not in the facts, but in the feeling of what is becoming. A gentle turning inward, where you clothe yourself in unseen realities, not with strain, but with ease. Not to force change, but to yield to it. There is a sacred rest found in the feeling of the fulfilled wish, not excitement, not striving, but a holy calm, like standing in a house you have already built, like walking barefoot through a garden you once imagined. You don't need proof, you are the proof, for we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. Faith is not blind. It sees with a deeper eye, the inner eye of imagination, guided by the feeling of truth. And so you don't need to know how. You only need to feel the what, to steep yourself in the outcome, until it saturates your being. Feel it until your breath changes. Feel it until your posture softens. Feel it until doubt dissolves in the warmth of your certainty. Not loud certainty, but quiet, living peace. The world may tell you you're deluded. Let it. That's the sign you've touched something real. The spiritual man judges all things, not by appearance, but by the invisible mood that precedes the miracle. For in that mood you are no longer seeking, you're remembering. You're remembering a version of yourself that always existed. You're remembering a timeline where your desire was already yours. You're not calling it into being. You're awakening to it. And when you do, everything responds. Not because you are commanding life, but because you are in rhythm with it. The birds seem to sing clearer. The air tastes sweeter. Even the silence feels alive. It's not imagination in the childish sense. It's imagination as the divine creative power, the womb of God, the place where things are spoken into existence without lips, without sound, only with feeling. And this feeling is not always thunderous. Sometimes it's the still, small voice, the warmth behind your rib cage, the release in your chest when you stop trying to make it happen. You fall into it. You melt into it. You surrender. And this surrender is not weakness. It is alignment. You are no longer negotiating with the world. You are communing with God, the God within, the God who feels things into form. So rest there. Even now, let your body loosen. Let your breath slow. Let the vision rise softly within you. Not as a demand, but as a memory you are revisiting. Taste the scene. Touch the atmosphere. Hear the invisible applause of a reality already lived. You are not rehearsing. You are returning. And in this returning, you are made whole. What you assumed was missing was only waiting for you to feel it. Feel it now, in the gentle hum beneath the noise, in the warmth that kisses your spine. Feel it in the sacred stillness of surrender, and know what you feel in truth must unfold in time. It is law, it is love, it is you. When you walk through this world, you will encounter many voices, many ideas that try to tell you what you should be, what you must do, how you must act. But there is only one voice that matters, the voice within. The voice that speaks not in words but in feelings. And in those feelings lies the key to your transformation. You see, the world does not respond to your thoughts alone. It responds to your inner state, the vibrations you radiate. Your thoughts are powerful, yes, but they are fuel for the feeling within. The feeling is what activates them. And so to change your life, to create what you desire, you must first change your feeling. It's in this feeling that you become the reality you seek. When you feel abundant, you draw abundance. When you feel loved, you become a magnet for love. When you feel successful, the world mirrors that success back to you. This is not some magical wish-making. This is not fantasy or wishful thinking. This is the law of the universe at work, the same law that has existed since the beginning of time. As the Bible says, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. It is not enough to merely think, you must believe it in your heart. And from that belief you feel it as truth. Feel it until it consumes you. Feel it until you can no longer distinguish where the world ends and your dream begins. In this feeling you are one with the reality you desire, and once you align with that feeling, it must unfold. For the universe, like a loving parent, has no choice but to respond to your request. It responds to your feeling, not your words. So in those quiet moments when you find yourself asking for what you want, don't ask with doubt or fear, but with the knowing that it is already yours. Feel the richness of the life you wish to lead. Feel the peace of a heart already full. Feel the joy of a future already lived. This is not a fleeting emotion. It is the energy of your wish fulfilled. It is your connection to the divine, the spark of God within you, calling forth the world that is waiting to answer. But there is something essential you must remember. When you feel that power, when you feel that knowing, you cannot allow the world to tell you otherwise. The external world will always try to distract you, to convince you that what you feel isn't real, that it is out of reach. But as you continue to feel it, you reinforce your connection to it. As Jesus said, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Matthew 17:20. Faith, and what is faith if not the feeling that what you desire is already yours? Now imagine yourself walking through life undaunted by the chaos around you. Your inner world is calm, your heart is certain, and your feeling is aligned with your desires. No matter what appears before you, you are at peace, knowing that the outer world is but a reflection of your inner state. You begin to see through the illusions, to witness the truth that the world is a mirror to the thoughts and feelings you nurture. What does that mirror reflect back to you? It reflects the power of your emotions, your unshakable belief in your reality. When you change how you feel, the world must change with you. It doesn't happen all at once, but it begins with the smallest shift inside. And soon the waves you've set in motion reach the shore. But don't be discouraged if it feels slow. Trust that the universe is always working in your favor, aligning circumstances, people, and events to meet the vision you hold in your heart. Because when you believe, when you truly feel that which you wish to experience, it must come. And in those moments of doubt, remember the words, feeling is the secret. This is the foundation of your creation, the law that never fails. So take a deep breath now, and let the feeling of what you desire fill you completely. Feel it as though it already exists. Let it settle into your soul, and know with absolute certainty that it is yours. It is done, and it has always been done. There is a stillness you must enter, a holy silence, not of the outer world but of the heart. It is in this sacred stillness that the secret begins to whisper. Not in thunder or flame, but in the quiet confidence of a feeling held long enough to become real. For the outer man cries for evidence, proof in the world of form. But the inner man, the spiritual self, knows that the world of form must obey the world within. The feeling you choose in the silence is the seed from which reality must grow. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91. The secret place is your own imagination. The Most High is the state you assume to be true, and the shadow of the Almighty, that is the world that bends to your inner vision. So you see, the question is never what do I want, but what am I willing to feel as real right now? Not tomorrow, not when the evidence appears, but now in the stillness. When you lie in your bed at night before sleep gently takes you, you are standing at the threshold of creation, and in that moment you may slip on any feeling you choose, as easily as one might slip on a coat. Will you wear the feeling of lack, of waiting, of uncertainty, or will you dare to clothe yourself in the joy of fulfillment? This is your holy wardrobe, where each feeling is a garment, a state of consciousness ready to mold the clay of the world. If only you knew how powerful you are when you feel from the end, from the answered prayer, from the completed desire, you would not delay for a second. You would not beg, nor plead, nor wait. You would close your eyes, breathe deeply into the stillness, and feel the thrill of the wish fulfilled. And that thrill, that quiet ecstasy, is the announcement to the universe that it is done. Not will be done, not may be done, it is done. And the longer you abide in that feeling, the more solid and real the outer reflection becomes. You are not here to react, you are here to select, not to fight what is, but to quietly assume what must be. This is not the way of force, but the way of faith, the kind that rests, the kind that trusts, the kind that feels without resistance. When you doubt, you delay. When you worry, you wander. But when you feel, you root yourself in truth, not a fleeting emotion, but a conviction, a knowing that what you feel within must eventually take shape without. And as you move through your days, let your heart return often to that chosen feeling. Nourish it with attention. Breathe life into it with gratitude, not for what is coming, but for what already is, in the unseen. You are not alone in this. The power that created the stars now dwells within you, waiting for your command. But it does not respond to begging. It responds to belief. And belief is nothing more than sustained feeling, a dwelling place in the heart that never questions, never looks over its shoulder, but walks forward in quiet joy. So tonight, when the world grows quiet and the day turns to shadow, retreat into your inner sanctuary. Close your eyes, sink into the silence, and feel it, the warmth of completion, the embrace of answered prayer, the soft glow of something already received. Stay there, breathe there, and know this is the secret. It is not out there, it is here within you. And it always has been. There is no power outside of feeling, no voice louder than the one that echoes within your own being. For the world in all its shape and motion is but the shadow cast by an inner conviction. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. But thinking alone is not enough. It is not the cold logic of mind that moves mountains. It is the warm, sustained atmosphere of feeling. Feeling is the language of the soul. It speaks to the infinite with clarity, not through words, but through vibration. Not by argument, but by knowing. When you feel from the end, you are not hoping. You are dwelling. You are not seeking. You are possessing. And this dwelling becomes your address in the unseen, the place from which all outcomes are forwarded. There is no one to convince but yourself. No outer door to knock upon. The door is within you, and it opens to the one who feels. So ask yourself gently and honestly, what am I feeling right now? What atmosphere am I silently accepting as true? Because what you accept emotionally, you invite physically, and life in its quiet obedience rushes to fulfill the feeling you most consistently wear. This is not about striving but surrender. You don't need to force the flower to bloom. You simply need to give it the environment it already knows. And your desire, your vision, it too knows how to bloom, if only you allow it the garden of felt reality. So rather than dwell in absence, dwell in presence. Rather than long for the day it will be yours, rejoice in the mystery that it already is. This is the gentle art of assumption, to live as though it were already true, not to fool yourself, but to awaken yourself. You're not pretending, you are remembering who you really are, and what already belongs to you in the unseen. The world is not waiting to bless you, it is reflecting yourself permission to be blessed, and that permission is granted through the door of feeling. So sit quietly now, let your breath soften, and find the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. What would the air feel like? What would your body know? How would you walk, speak, rest? If you really were the one you long to become, what would that feel like? Let it rise, not as a forced image, but as a warm felt sense in the chest, a quiet confidence that settles behind the ribs, a smile before the world even sees a reason. Let that be your prayer, let that be your offering, not words but felt union, and in time that inner union becomes outer form. For creation is not an event, it is a flow. The moment you feel it, you step into it. And the outer world, though it may take time to echo back your feeling, has no choice but to respond. Because you are not the spectator of life, you are the author, and the pen is dipped in emotion. Write gently but write truthfully, and write only what you wish to read. Your future is not made by effort alone, but by alignment. And alignment begins in stillness, in silence, in feeling. So rest tonight not in doubt, but in knowing. Knowing that what you feel is forming, even when the outer world seems unchanged. Knowing that your soul has already planted the seed, and your faith is the water. Return again and again to that sacred space within, not to demand but to dwell, not to chase but to receive. For when you feel from the end, the journey shortens, time folds, hearts open, and reality bends, and what once seemed far away becomes the next breath, the next heartbeat, the next moment of wonder wrapped in the ordinary. This is the secret, and it is always here, waiting for you to feel it real. There is a stillness beneath every storm, a silence deeper than all noise, and within you, beneath the questions, beneath the waiting, lies the silence of certainty. It is not loud, it is not hurried, it whispers gently. It is done. You may not see the signs yet. The outer world might remain unmoved, but your feeling knows. It has touched the truth before time made it visible. It has wrapped itself in the robe of completion before the facts were forced to bow. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Mark 11:24. The instruction is not to wait and then believe, but to believe and then wait, not with impatience but with reverence, with the trust of someone who has seen the end and walks now with the peace of having lived it. To feel the wish fulfilled is to let the body relax into what is already yours. No tension, no need to convince, only the quiet warmth of knowing you have come home. What does the end feel like to you? Is it safety? Is it joy? Is it quiet confidence that needs no explanation? Then feel that now. Let it gently clothe you in stillness. Wrap yourself in it like a soft blanket at twilight. Let it settle behind your eyes, in your breath, in your posture. No longer striving, no longer reaching, but having. The secret is not in doing more, it is in feeling deeper. It is not about manipulating the world, but resting in the inner atmosphere that the world must eventually reflect. And if fear comes, if doubt knocks at the door of your awareness, do not resist it. Do not scold yourself for slipping. Instead, return to the truth. Return to the feeling, gently, softly, over and over if you must. Like returning to a sacred space each time the noise of the world becomes too loud. You don't have to fight your thoughts. You only need to feel the truth longer than you fear the lie. Your emotions are the bridge. Your feelings are the incense that rise to the heavens, that draw all things to you, not by force but by frequency. And when you hold the feeling long enough, the world begins to change, slowly at first, then suddenly, as if it always knew who you were. It is not magic, though it looks like it. It is law, a law older than any man, written not on tablets of stone, but within your own being. Let feeling lead you. Let it guide your thoughts, your assumptions, your choices. Live from the state, not toward it. Dwell in the mood, not the method. Let your daydreams be rehearsals of truth, not escapes from reality. And every time you choose to feel differently, you build a new world, brick by invisible brick. The world bends not to what you say, but to what you embody. So embody love, embody success, embody peace, even when chaos surrounds you, especially then, because the moment you hold the feeling without needing to see the evidence, you begin to collapse the distance between you and the promise, and the echo of that feeling, echoed through time, through space, becomes the call to which reality must respond. So be still, be full, be quiet and radiant with the end. The seed has been planted. Roots are already spreading beneath the surface, and the bloom, though not yet seen, is inevitable. You are not waiting on life. Life is catching up to the song you've already sung in the sacred chamber of your heart. Feeling is the secret, the sacred signature of the soul, and the more you return to it, the more you realize you were never waiting, you were always becoming. When you saturate your being in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are not simply dreaming, you are creating. Creation is not the work of the hands but the dance of the inner state. To imagine boldly is to shape reality with invisible tools. To feel the end, to dwell there emotionally and sensorially, is to call it into form without lifting a finger. You need not beg. You do not have to strain. All that is required is the sacred surrender to the mood of your prayer already answered. For it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Luke 12:32. Not to make you earn it, not to delay it as a test, but to give it freely when you can receive it inwardly. This receiving is not done through effort but through embodiment. And embodiment means this: you feel it now. You walk as though it were true. You talk as one who already has. You sleep, not with questions but with peace. Because the law is perfect. Because your inner world is the only blueprint the outer world can build from. You will find that when you feel something deeply enough, it begins to echo. A conversation changes. An opportunity appears. Someone says the very thing you just imagined. This is not coincidence. It is law. It is response. The world does not delay. It reflects. And when the reflection appears, it does not bring with it the memory of your effort, but the sweetness of fulfillment, the perfume of answered prayer. And yet feeling must be genuine. You cannot fake belief, but you can cultivate it. Like fire catching slowly to kindling, the smallest spark of inner conviction can set the entire forest of possibility ablaze. Begin where you are. If full faith feels distant, start with curiosity. What would it feel like to be loved? What would it feel like to be free, to be healthy, to be chosen, to be overflowing? Don't analyze, feel. The mind will try to calculate. The heart already knows. And when doubt tries to steal in, when the old man rises from the grave of memory and says, "This isn't who you are," you smile gently and return to the feeling. You do not argue with shadows. You simply turn on the light. Each time you rest in the mood of your fulfilled desire, you carve a deeper channel through which the river of reality can flow. It is not repetition of thought that brings it to pass. It is repetition of feeling. Think of it like a song not sung once but played on repeat in the quiet corners of your soul, until every cell moves to its rhythm, until the melody becomes your heartbeat. The world will call it delusion, but the mystics call it vision. The world waits to see it to believe, but the soul knows believing is seeing. This is why the dreamer rules the dawn, because in the stillness of night he felt something realer than facts, something deeper than evidence, and in time what was felt in secret was rewarded openly. So tonight, when the world falls silent and the bed becomes your temple, enter the Holy of Holies within. Close your eyes and see not with the eyes of flesh but with the eyes of faith. Dwell there. Feel it, not for outcome but for union. Not to chase something down but to let it rise up from within you like a fountain. This is your inheritance. This is your creative power, and it was never far from you, it was always waiting in the feeling. Let that be enough tonight. Rest in the knowing, sleep in the having, and wake to a world reshaped by the fragrance of your inner conviction. There is a sacred moment, not in the doing, not in the planning, but in the quiet pause before sleep, where the veil between the seen and unseen grows thin. This is the moment the ancients knew. This is the silence where miracles root. In this stillness the feeling becomes flesh. For whatsoever things ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24. Do not believe as a future hope. Believe as now, not tomorrow, not when the evidence appears, but now within. The world may be unchanged. The mirror may still show lack, but you no longer bow to reflections. You are not the echo. You are the cause. The outer world is but a shadow cast by the inner flame, and the brighter you burn with the feeling of fulfillment, the faster the shadows rearrange. Dare then to imagine beyond reason, feel beyond logic, smile at the impossible, for it only exists in minds that do not know the law. The law is this: as within, so without. What you embody, you express. What you claim emotionally, you summon into being, and it need not take time. Time is only the servant of your assumption. It bends to the intensity of your feeling. It folds before the authority of your conviction. This is how you collapse time. You drop the longing. You drop the waiting. and instead you feel it now. You dare to walk the earth as one who already is, not pretending, but possessing. You pick up the garment of the fulfilled state and wear it like your own skin, not occasionally, but continuously, until there is no gap between the inner and the outer. This is the mystery. You are not moving toward your desire. It is moving through you. And in that movement, in that gentle hum beneath your heartbeat, reality begins to conspire. Doors open. Phone calls come. Ideas land softly in the mind like birds returning home. Do not chase. Receive. Do not strive. Align. Let the feeling be your compass. If it excites you, draws you, quiets you, follow. If it feels like peace, it is truth. If it feels like panic, it is doubt's disguise. Gently return to the inner garden. Let the feeling grow there, not by force, but by love. You do not water a seed by screaming at it. You tend it by trusting it will rise. Let that be your faith. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the bridge. The feeling is the secret. It cannot be faked, but it can be invited. You breathe it in. You smile with it. You allow the mood of your wish fulfilled to wrap itself around your soul like a soft blanket. And even if the world mocks, even if no one understands, you do not need their agreement. Your world is yours, and your feelings are the command it obeys. So rest now, not with hope, but with certainty. Let the final thought before sleep be not of what is missing, but of what is already yours. Not in imagination alone, but in being. You are not wishing anymore. You are remembering. And the more vividly you remember the state, the more quickly life responds. The secret is not in repetition. It is in depth. One moment of genuine feeling can accomplish more than 1,000 whispered affirmations spoken without emotion. Let the feeling soak into you. Let it settle. Let it stir. Let it sink beneath the surface of your skin. This is how mountains move. Not by shouting, but by surrendering completely to the still small voice that says, "It is done." And so it is. The secret is not in effort, but in acceptance. Not in struggle, but in surrender. When you lie still in the silence of the night, when all the noise of the world has faded, and the curtains of your mind are drawn inward, this is where the true work begins. Not the kind of work done by hands, but by heart. It is here, in the stillness, that the soul whispers the truth. The world forgets. You do not become what you want. You become what you feel to be true. Be still, and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. In the stillness you are not asking, you are knowing. You are not pleading, you are being. There is a sacred rhythm to creation, and it beats in harmony with your inner world. Each feeling, whether drenched in joy or soaked in worry, plants its own seed, and the universe, neutral and precise, nurtures whatever you plant. So choose carefully, feel deliberately. Let each feeling be a conscious selection, not a reaction to appearances. The world will tempt you to look outward, to judge by the five senses, to doubt the unseen. But remember, the senses are followers, not leaders. They report what once was, not what is becoming. What is becoming lives inside the feeling you hold now. This is why we are told, let the weak say I am strong, not to lie, but to realign, to awaken the sleeping giant within, to call forth the truth that lives beyond appearances. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you step outside the laws of logic and into the domain of the divine. You stop trying to force change and begin living from the change already made. It is not a matter of time. It is a matter of intensity. The deeper the feeling, the sooner the reflection. Think of yourself as an actor, but one who believes their role so completely. The world must respond accordingly. You do not say I will be, you say I am. You do not wait for signs. You become the sign. And just as a seed does not ask permission to bloom, you no longer ask permission to claim your desire. You simply feel it, trust it, and walk in it. Each night as you drift to sleep, let your inner theater come alive. Feel the embrace of success, the warmth of love, the lightness of freedom. Do not wait for the world to show you. You show the world by feeling it first. Your imagination is holy. Your feeling is sacred. And your belief, it is the gatekeeper of your reality. If you believe that you are already loved, chosen, prosperous, healed, then life in all its infinite ways will rise to confirm it. Not because you beg, but because you embody. The feeling is the bridge, and you walk across that bridge not with effort, but with faith. Let go of the calendar. Release the clock. The when and how are not yours to orchestrate. Your role is to enter the state, fully, richly, sincerely, and remain there long enough for it to harden into fact. Let your heart settle into the feeling. Let it be soft like a lullaby before dreams. The more natural it feels to be the one who already has, the more effortless the manifestation, because the world cannot help but mirror you. And so as you rest now, Let the weight of how fall away. Let the tension of when dissolve. Let the identity of lack be forgotten. You are no longer the seeker. You are the finder, the chooser, the creator. All that remains is to feel, and let that feeling shape the universe around you into something more beautiful than you ever imagined. It has already begun. And so you rest, not because you're tired, but because you know it is done. You do not beg the light to shine. You simply uncover what was always there, buried beneath the veil of doubt, quietly waiting behind the noise of effort. The truth is, you were never meant to make it happen. You were only meant to become the embodiment of the state in which it already has. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. But what is this heart if not the feeling center of your being? It is not the fleeting emotion, not the surface reaction, but the deep-rooted conviction, the quiet knowing that what you feel persistently and sincerely will find expression in form. The world around you is not fixed. It bends, it yields, it reshapes itself according to the mold pressed upon it by your sustained inner state. You do not have to force the reflection. You only need to hold the image in stillness and feel it alive. Feel it as though it were the most natural thing in the world, because to the soul nothing imagined is ever fiction. Everything imagined is truth awaiting your permission to be seen. So if you would change your life, do not battle your current circumstances. Do not argue with shadows. Do not plead with mirrors. Instead, step into the scene. Close your eyes to the outer world and open the inner curtain. Let yourself be there, where your wish is already fulfilled. See it, touch it, and most importantly, feel it as real. Not someday, not soon, but now. Let your heart ache with the beauty of it. Let the feeling swell like a tide within your chest, washing away every doubt, every voice that says not yet. This is not imagination as escape. This is imagination as command, the same command that formed the heavens and the earth. Let the scene play out in silence. Let it be simple, perhaps just a look, a phrase, a moment of laughter shared with someone you love. What matters is not how long it plays, but how deeply you feel it. Your subconscious is not impressed by words. It listens only to feeling. It listens to belief clothed in emotion. This is why prayer is not repetition, but revelation. When you pray believing, when you feel what you desire is already yours, you shift the axis of your world, not because the outer changed, but because the inner did. And once the inner world moves, the outer world must follow. It has no choice. It is law. You are not the echo, you are the voice. And feeling is the volume at which your voice is heard. So tonight, as you drift toward dreams, ask yourself, what am I accepting as true? Am I feeling the reality of my desire? Or am I lingering in the echo of its absence? One will nourish the seed, the other will delay the bloom. Feel as though it were true, and you need not ask again. For the seed once planted in conviction requires no repeated planting, only stillness, only faith. Your job is not to know how the rain will fall, but to trust that it will. Because you have already sown the feeling, you have already touched the end, and the end is always the beginning. So rest now, not in effort, but in confidence. Rest in the warmth of your fulfilled desire. Wrap yourself in its nearness. Breathe it in, until it is no longer a hope but a memory, a quiet, holy memory. From the future you've already lived in the theater of your soul, and that memory will bloom in its own time, but not because you chased it, because you welcomed it. And so you lie here now, not wanting, not wishing, but knowing. You are already everything you've ever sought, and that feeling, that sacred knowing, is the secret. It always was. There is a silence deeper than words, a place where the outer world fades and the inner kingdom begins to breathe. It is here, in this sacred stillness, that feeling writes its decree upon the pages of tomorrow. For life does not respond to thought alone, but to thought felt. He calleth those things which be not as though they were. Romans 4:17. This is not pretense, this is power. The kind of power that flows not from striving, but from surrender. When you assume the state, and let its feeling wrap around your being, you call into form what once lived only in vision. Not by might, nor by manipulation, but by the natural law of consciousness. The world around you is a mirror dressed in delay. It takes time to catch up, but not because it resists. It simply follows. Like a shadow follows light, like a reflection waits for still water. So many chase change on the surface, exhausting themselves with action, when the shift was always within. Change the mood, and the world must change with it. But this requires courage, the quiet kind, the kind that dares to feel rich, while the bank account still whispers otherwise, the kind that smiles in gratitude, while the world seems ungrateful, the kind that chooses love, even when love has not yet knocked. You see, feeling is not just a response, it is a cause. And when you persist in that cause with soft intensity, you awaken a force the world cannot deny. Let the feeling become your dwelling. Let it be where you live, not just where you visit at night before sleep takes you. Let it rise in your chest as a quiet certainty, not a demand, not a plea, but a peaceful knowing. It is done. It is here that the magic begins, not in noise, but in nuance, not in proof, but in presence. And when doubts come, as they will, do not wrestle with them. Do not feed them your energy. Instead, return. Return to the scene, to the tone, to the warmth of the wish fulfilled. Return gently, as you would return to a dream you didn't want to leave. Feel the scene again, as if you never left it. And soon the line between what's imagined and what is seen will blur. The outer must submit to the inner's authority, because this world, as solid as it seems, is clay in the hands of your assumption. It bends, it yields, it obeys the vibration you carry. So do not try to force it. Do not check the clock or measure the distance. You do not ask the soil to hurry the seed. You only water it with feeling. You only trust it with stillness. And in time, what was once invisible will bloom around you like a long-forgotten dream that never forgot you. So tonight, lay aside your burdens. Let go of how and when. Let the feeling be enough. Feel that it is already yours, not in fantasy, but in faith. Faith not in what you see, but in what you know. In that sacred center of your being, where all things are born. And in that knowing, sleep. Let the world rearrange itself around the new melody of your heart. Because feeling, when sustained in love, in peace, and in quiet confidence, is the seed of every miracle. And miracles, to those who feel them first, are not surprises. They are memories returning home. What you feel with conviction you impress upon the unseen, and what is impressed must express. It is written, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. But the heart in Scripture is not emotion alone. It is imagination felt. It is awareness in motion. The secret, beloved, is not in striving harder, but in surrendering deeper. To feel the wish fulfilled is to enter the end before the beginning. To walk as if it's already yours, not with arrogance, but with inner assurance. Like the sun that rises without asking permission. When you rest in the feeling, you no longer seek proof, you become it. And the world, so faithful in its reflection, gently echoes your change. Do not be discouraged if nothing moves at first. Still waters run deep. The seed does not sprout on the day it's planted, but beneath the soil everything has already begun. Each time you feel from the end, each time you rest in that silent knowing, you are watering the invisible. You are impressing the fabric of reality with a vibration too holy to be rushed. And soon, without announcement or fanfare, it blooms. Life rearranges. People appear. Paths open. And what you once called impossible feels as natural as breath. But remember, you must not watch the pot. Do not measure the days. Time is the servant of the state you dwell in. And when you remain in the feeling, time folds. Paths shorten. Delays dissolve. Live now as the one who has already received. Speak little of the past. Let the former things fall away. Your new world is not behind you. It is within you. And feeling is the bridge. If ever you grow weary, return not to reason but to rest. The most powerful work is done in silence, where no one can see, where only God, which is your own wonderful human imagination, moves. This is not about forcing emotions. It is not performance. It is quiet acceptance. It is the sacred art of feeling the reality so deeply that the world must catch up. Let your body sleep tonight, but let your soul awaken. Let the scene unfold gently, not as a hope, but as a memory returning. See it once more, not the wish, but the aftermath. The phone call that confirmed it, the scent of the new space, the quiet smile after the door closed behind you. Feel what you would feel if you knew it had already come to pass. Feel it softly, feel it surely, feel it as truth. And then, let go, not in doubt, but in trust. Like the child who plants a flower and walks away, knowing it will rise. Tonight you do not need to figure it out. You do not need to hustle for your miracle. You need only dwell in the feeling that it is already so. And as you sleep, the creative power within you goes to work, rearranging, aligning, conspiring in your favor. This is the rhythm of the universe. This is the song creation sings. You are not waiting on it. It is waiting on you to feel it real. So close your eyes now, sink into stillness, and let the feeling be enough, because feeling is the prayer God always answers. And the one who feels from the wish fulfilled has already received it. Peace, be still. It is done.